Hello everybody, I'm going to try to do a new video on how to set up the Zoom R8 for running on a CB or ham radio. This is what it looks like in the box. Let's remove it. All right, hopefully this thing's going to focus here. Let me pause this. Okay, I got the Zoom R8 out of the box. Ran the cord to plug it in. Now I'm going to turn it on the back here. So the switch you turn on. It will light up, show you the startup screen. Okay, so first thing, we'll go over this. You got two inputs for one or two mics. I always use input one. I always use the left side on the output side. This is output. I use the left side. You have an output control here for the amount going out. I always keep it wide open all the way clockwise. And I don't use headphones plugged into this. When I monitor my audio, I use a separate radio to monitor what it sounds like going over the air. All right, to start with, let's see if these lights are showing up. I don't know if you can see the color, but you have track 1 through 8. I use track 1 and 2, which I will explain that in a minute. So those should be red. Red is on. Green or nothing is off. If you have no light, or if you keep them, I just keep them green. So that means they're off. So I'm using track 1 and 2. Okay. To start with, I use the mic line, which is going to be your mic plug here. You do have a built-in mic, which are these little corners. There's one on each corner. And they're condenser mics. They pick up a lot of noise, so I never use them. But they are there to use. Okay, to get into this thing, to start your initial setup, you're going to hit the effect button, which is right here. It's going to go to this first screen. If that's off, you want to make sure you're on the insert effect right here. Okay, using this pad down here, you can go move that blacked out area to different settings. Algorithm, I keep to mic. There's several different settings. I keep it on mic. Patch, there's 29 preset patches set up in this thing. I don't use any of them. I go to 30, which was, it'll say empty, and I set up a patch from scratch. I don't use anything that they already have in here. And then once you set it up, you can go down to rename and name it for whatever radio you set it up for. That's how I did it. And then any changes or any settings you do, you go to save and save it. If not, you'll lose it every time you turn it off. But before we get into that, let me back out. I hit exit down here. Exit button, back this out. We're going to go to Tool. You go down to SD card. I'm not going to hit it, but you put in your SD card, which goes in a little door here on the right side. Go down to Format and format your SD card before you do anything, or you're going to lose all your settings. Okay, once that's done, you can hit the exit button again. Exit again till you're out of that screen. Now let's go back to the effect button. Okay, so we got all these set up where we want. We got the insert effect on. Okay, now if I hit to the left, or no, this turn dial right here, I'm sorry. If you turn that, it's going to go to off. We don't want that. We want to turn it on. And we want to have mic, and then whatever patch you set up, input 1, which again is this, your mic plug. Okay, then we're going to go to the right, to our next screen. Oh, I'm sorry, I got to go to edit, hit enter, in the center of this pad down here. We're on comp limiter. To turn it on and off would be right here. That's off. We want that on. We want to put it on limiter. There's different choices. There's only two choices, rack comp or limiter. We want to go to limiter, go down to threshold. I set that on 50. Go down to ratio, set it on 10. Release, I set on 1. And audio, which is your audio level, I set on 80. Okay, so we're done with that screen. So we're going to hit this pad, go to the right. EFX, I keep it off. If you were to turn it on, I wouldn't even know what to tell you to set up in there. But there's something you can experiment with. So I keep it off. Mic pre, a lot of people like to run it. Bunch of different settings, different sound types, different levels. I keep it off. I don't use it, but if you want to experiment with it, that's how you get to it. Go to the right again. Your 3-band EQ. For my different radios, really the only change I make is this bass setting. I have to take bass out of, depending on your radio and your microphone. Some I have to add bass in. The mid-range, I always have at -6. The treble, I have all the way up at +12. It will go from -12 to +12. And then the level again is at 80. If you don't use the EQ, you turn it off. That one I keep on. So the only changes I make between radios and microphones is my bass level. Okay, we're going to go to the right again. Mod delay. There's a bunch of different settings here. I mean, a bunch of them. So the one you want to set it up on is exciter. And then go down to frequency. I got that on 5. Depth, I have on 30. Low boost, I have on 10. Again, if you didn't want to use this at all, turn it off. Okay, go to the right again. This patch level and ZNR is it's kind of like the thing that, what the heck's it called, that takes the background noise out. I run the patch level at 25 and the ZNR at 30. Again, you can experiment with that and see what level you want to set it at. Okay, now we're back to the first screen again. So that's the base good starting point levels settings on this thing to use it for a studio mic on a CB or ham radio. All right, let's exit out. Hit exit once. It's going to take us back to this screen. We would go down to save. When you hit save, it's going to say save to, and then whatever you had renamed your patch to, you want to save to that. Okay, and then go down one time to execute, and it'll say complete. Okay, now we're going to exit out, all the way out. Now, there's a button here called Pan EQ. There's 8 buttons here. Bottom right, Pan EQ. Track 1, which is this slider right here. I keep it up at that fat line, which is, if you go up, you're going to get louder. If you go down, it's going to take your audio way down. I keep it right there on the 0, which is the fat line. Okay, so track 1, I got everything zeroed out as far as the EQ. If you needed to add more bass or more highs, you can do it in here if you're going to run the tracks. I don't. I control everything through that effect button. So zero those out. Reverb send, I have off. I'm going to go to the right. Track 2, everything's zeroed out. Reverb send at 100. The reason I do that, so when I want to change my reverb, I just use this number 2 slider. I don't have to go into the menu to mess with it. I can go up to add more reverb, go down to take some out, or I can go all the way to the bottom and have no reverb. That's just how I do it. You don't have to do it that way, but that makes it easier than going into the menu to do it. So to back out of that, hit exit. Now you're back to your main screen. If I want to change my audio levels going into the radio, I do it with this master switch. Never push this master button. Then these tracks don't work. It kind of messes everything up. So make sure that light is off. And if you do push it, then you got to go back and turn track 1 and 2 back on. So anyway, so if you want to add more audio, you go up toward the 0 or higher. If you want to go choke some audio down so you're not picking up background noise, you come down to into the negative section. Usually I end up running mine about 7, right, between 5 and 10. Okay, so that's pretty much the basic setup, a good starting point for the Zoom R8. One other thing I want to mention, you can run a condenser mic if you want. There's a phantom button here to provide power to a condenser mic. I'm going to show you a couple mics here in a minute. And usually I run these gains right here. Oh, that's the other thing. When you turn this on, it'll do the startup. These will light up. But your mic is still off, so you have to turn your mic on. Don't turn number 2 on because you're not using it. But when you're using number 1, and this is your gain levels. I run mine about 4 o'clock. Again, that's one way to adjust your levels. You could turn that way up and use your master slider to cut it back. But that's for a dynamic mic. If I'm going to run a condenser mic, I'll just show you with this knob. I end up running at about 10 o'clock because the condenser mic is similar to a power mic or a D104. It's going to pick up a lot of noise. So that's that. Now, let's go over microphones. This is a cheap condenser mic I got off Amazon. Regardless of what the name brand, the model numbers are the same pretty much. It's a BM800. It does work well. I don't use them anymore. I went to a Electro Voice RE20, which is one of the best dynamic mics you can get. But a condenser mic is an option. And you can get them cheap. This is a dynamic Shure SM58, which is a very good standard mic, $100 microphone. The RE20 that I run is somewhere around $400, $450. But you don't have to spend that kind of money, especially if you're just trying this out. But the Shure's a great mic, but it's a very bassy mic. So again, you would have to go into that equalizer setting and take some of your bass out to get a decent sound out of it. People always ask me, oh, okay, so to hook your mics from the mic to the Zoom, you're going to get a 3-pin XLR cable. This end goes into the Zoom. This end goes into the mic. So that connects your mic to the Zoom. People always ask me, how do you get from the Zoom to the radio? So I bought this foot pedal. This plugs into my left side of the Zoom, my left outlet on the output side. This is wired for a Cobra 4-pin. So if you're using any other radio, you either got to buy or make an adapter for it. I had to make them up for my ICOMs, my Yaesu, my Kenwood. I got all these adapters. But this is a company makes this up. I'll show you in a minute what it is. So you basically have 3 wires. One that goes to the foot pedal, one that goes to the radio, one that goes to the Zoom. So that's how you're going to get your audio from your Zoom to your radio and key the radio up. I bought it from a place called onairdesigns.us. It's around $100 or so. You can get a foot pedal version or a push button, which is like a thumb push button. I didn't like that too much. I preferred the foot pedal. So that's up to you. Or you can make your own. Either way, you only need 3 wires. If you got a radio that receives without a mic plugged into it, you only need 3 wires. Okay? So check that out if you're interested in that. A couple other little things. I learned how to do some recordings, not Watergates, but if I wanted to make a recording, let's say I wanted to, without me talking, I wanted to hear how my audio sounds. I can record on here and then hit play and it will play it. So what you would do to record something, hit record and then play. And then when you're done recording, you hit stop, rewind, and then play. And then if you wanted to play that, whatever you just recorded over the air, you would key up, hit play. You don't have to say anything. I've done it several times. I know a guy that does it where he sets it up to do repeat and plays in a loop. So like every minute or two, it will start playing the recording, and he sets his radio up on the Vox, the voice activated transmit, and he'll drive around the neighborhood and listen to how his audio sounds coming over the air from that recording. So you can do a lot with it. It does a lot more than I know what to do with it, but as far as using it for what I'm using it for, I'm trying to give people a good starting point. So I hope this helps people out. If you have any questions, you can post in the comments section. Thank you very much.